Okay, so for this task, it's a little bit different. Instead of bricks, we're using blocks now. The objectives for this task is to set out, transfer a level, correctly maintain half bond, and practice half round joint finish. It also says to calculate the required amount of materials to complete the task, but we've got to sit down in the classroom and do working out for that. So I'll just show you the practical side of things for now. All right, so first, got to transfer the level. So if we leave that to one side, so we can keep referring back and forwards to it, just grab this, grab that. So, transferring a level, first thing you've got to do, find the highest point in the floor. Whichever side the bubble is, that means that's the highest point. To be fair, we've got quite lucky there, our floor is quite level. Move your level down there, and that's perfect. So you can start whichever end you wanted to for that. Oh, let's just move all that out of the way. For blocks, you want your mortar a lot stiffer, because they're a lot heavier, they'll just sink in your mortar. So try and stiffen up your mortar a little bit more than normal. Good enough to lay a block, and you can start whichever side you want, like I said. We'll lay that first block in there like that. Okay. Grab your spirit level. Just get them level. Okay, clean it off and just leave the spirit level there. Okay. Same process. Try and line your blocks up if you can. Just there. Right. Blocking again, clean up your excess, and you transfer your level. When you do that, you have to turn it 180 degrees and reset your level. It ensures everything's 100% level. Okay. Apply a little bit of pressure. Just tap down until that bubbles in the middle. Repeat the process. Lining them up best we can. Just put them in. Clear away your excess. Transfer your level, 180 degrees. And just tap down until we're happy we have level blocks with each other. So once you're happy with that's level with that, that's level with that, that's level with that, self-assess your work. Just make sure you've got it right. Okay. Once you're at that point, refer back to your drawing and your specifications, and it will give you the linear measurements for that blockwork job. So down here it says 2 metre, 240. Okay. So that's what we've got to make sure is between that block and that block there, so we can put our line on and run them in. All right, so I'll just check that now and just tape measure. 2 metre. Gonna have to go one more. Once we're happy, each block was level with each other, we can remove these middle blocks so we can tie our line round and run them in. Okay, so once you've used your block, just put it back to the side and put your used mortar underneath your spot board, preventing any hazards such as slip strips and falls, anything like that. Just make sure you've got a clean work area. Okay. Right. As blocks are so heavy, you can't put one of those on top, so we've got to grab bricks. Okay, so brick on each side. Using your line, let your one end out, stick your brick on top, tie your line round, put your brick on top of there just to keep it in place. Try to put it on level and don't smash your block down, otherwise you'll interfere with the level between the two blocks. Okay, so same process as that side there. Try not to pull it too tight to begin with. wrap it around that brick, get the other one on top just to hold it down and add support, okay, and then we're going to pull it tight. Keeping an eye on both this here and that block over there. Alright. And then hopefully we should be like that. Should be about as tight as a guitar, well, try to get it as tight as a guitar string if we can. And now we can lay our blocks into there, okay? Very good. So try to lay out your full bed first. Okay, and I'll leave it there. Just to check that when I put my block down, I put enough mortar down that the top of the block is going to sit level with that line, okay? So it's a bit more tricky than bricks, but it's the exact same method. Try to lay it a millimetre away from the line. Give it a flick. If it's still wobbling, you're perfectly distance away from it. All right. Another little tip is when you're putting your block in, don't just try to tap it down to the, don't focus on your line. Still make sure you're putting that block on as it goes straight up. Okay? So when we're putting our blocks on, we're trying to get it straight away plumb. Okay? So we've not got to wiggle about and move it afterwards because that's perfect level. All right? So, can carry on now. That's it. Lay the rest of these blocks in. Again, bolting the blocks a little bit different, a bit heavier. Right, one this way, one that way, and that'll give you a nice joint. Okay. If you can't hold it, put your trowel underneath the block to assist you the weight, and just knock it down like that. Okay. Push it down with your hand. Knock it over if it needs to. Clean that off and we should be pretty level, okay? What you should do, once you've laid the two blocks, is just ensure that the joints you're putting down in between those blocks are 10mm. So the problem I've got with these blocks, they're all 5mm too short. So my joints are going to be roughly twice the size, so almost 20mm. Right, so I'm going to have to pull that just so it works. Okay, so it will be a big joint, but it's because the blocks aren't the incorrect size. And if you in the real world, you wouldn't be laying with these. You'd send them back and let them know. Okay. So now for the next one, we know we've got to lay a bit of a bigger bed. That's why we do that. Okay. So same again, got a nice big bed on there. Butter it up against it, and then just push it down with your hand. Trying to keep it plumb as possible. Okay. Flick your line, if any mortar goes on your line, flick it. Otherwise it'll interfere with the level. Okay. So when we wipe it off, it should be pretty much level like that, okay? Another way of laying your block, if you're struggling to lift it and butter it up, another way you can do it. Okay, slap it up against your block and then put your side joints on like that, okay? And then instead of having to lift your block and butter it up, now you can use two hands if you're struggling and butter it up just like that, okay? And once you put a bed on top, that'll fill that up, so don't worry about that. All right. Perfect. So, right, we've laid our first course. Means we can take away our dead mans now. So, just move these behind the wall so they don't interfere with your brickwork, well, block work. Okay. And refer back to your specification again, making sure you've got your linear measurement perfect, okay? So we're looking for 2 meters, 240 millimeters. So let's have a look, see how close we are. Good. Yeah, perfect, all right? So, once you've got that perfect, lengthwise, just go over the top of it, just to make sure you transferred your level properly. If you transferred your level properly, the bubble's going to be in the middle perfect like that, okay? Also, you shouldn't have any holes underneath your spirit level, okay? All the way to the end of there. That's got a bit of an imperfection in there, look. Alright. So, sort that out, and then sort it. Okay, straighten it up. It's a bit different to bricks. You put the spirit level at the bottom of the block, okay, and then you knock it over that way, making sure we've got no holes at all. Okay, so plumbing. Do. Put the level at the block. Try and get that bubble in the middle. Like I said at the start, if you check the start block and then follow the averages, you should be pretty good for the rest of the wall. Okay, it might need a slight tilt, but it should be perfect, okay? The next plumbing point we've got is our stop ends. I have to try and ensure they're going straight up. This would be for a doorway, window, any sort of opening. You have to keep this perfect. Our stop tens, right? Get the bubble in the middle. We've laid our first course, checked our measurements, we've plumbed everything up, it's all perfect. So now we're going to build up our corners so we can run in the middle, okay? I'm going to start this side. So one of the objectives is to maintain stretcher bond, which basically means half bond. So we're going to have to put half brick in there, a full brick in there, which would create half bond at the back, which you can see. All right, show you how to do that quickly. So half block first. There should be 215 by 215. So you have to cut a block. You should never lay the cut block on the outside, like the face side of the wall. Always has to be the joint, because sometimes your cut's not going to be square, okay? So you have to find the normal edge that's not been cut. Alright, so I reckon we'll be alright there. Yeah. Just find the one that hasn't been cut. Make sure. Should be 215 by 215. Okay. Just make sure, otherwise you wouldn't get half bond. Wiggle it down so you're roughly 10 mil. Keep it flush. Clean the back off if you can. Okay. And then just measure that down to the top of the first block. Should be 225. Okay. So let's show you. So top of that first block at the moment I'm at 230. So I'm gonna have to knock that down 5 mil. Okay. Right, so instead of putting my spirit level on top, I'm gonna just try to knock down roughly 5 mil. Okay. Keep cleaning it off, good trowel skill. And now I'm at 225, okay? So now once you're happy, you can then move on. Once you've done this, plumb at this stopped end, and you don't want any holes in your spirit level at all. Okay, so you should have the bubble in the middle, and up this line here, you should have no holes. Same with your stopped end here, okay? So it's going to want to come over, and the spirit level has to be bang on in the middle, okay? Range it in with the other block work. Yep, perfect. Okay, so set that first block, and then you can follow follow your distances. I'm going to try and hold that if you can. Keeping everything clean at the same time. Okay, so you can feel that has to go down quite a bit there with your trowel. Okay, try and get that imperfection out. Should just glide over it nicely. Okay. Not only trying to line at the top of your block, also the bottom of your block. That's going to keep things plumb. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. All right, so got to plumb this block now. Come round to the edge of the block. If it needs knocking over, just give it a tap. And then, just the same as everything else that we've just done, that bubble has to be in the middle, all right? With no holes at the spirit level. Okay? To make it perfect, range it all in. All right? Shouldn't have any holes down here. Okay? Perfect. So now I'll build up another corner. One more. So now to maintain half bond, it's going to have to be a full block, okay? So push it down nice and gently. Just wiggle it backwards and forwards. Put it away so you get a nice clean face. All right. Same with the back. All right. So before we knock it down, just check. Top course always it's always the top course to the top of the bottom course. We don't measure like this because, like I was saying before, it's an inconsistent floor. So you could be 5mm higher this side and 5mm lower that side, which if you was doing this would make your level inconsistent. So we transfer a level, get the first course level. You know that's always going to be the same height, distance, right? So that's why we measure down to there. So again, I'm 5mm out again. You have to knock this down 5mm. So apply pressure this side and tap this side, and it should go down together. All right, you don't want to tap the one side because then it's going to be unlevel. All right, try to clean it off onto your trowel if you can. Keeping this end flush. Okay, don't matter if it falls off, just pick it up. All right, little by little, just keep checking. All right, clean it out if you need to. It's quite hard to see with blocks. So you're at 45 there, that'll do me. Alright. Now this side is level, just make sure this side wasn't kicking up. No, we're fine. Alright. So again, first thing we've got to do, really, plumb this stopped end. Okay, get the stopped end perfect, because that would be a doorway opening windowsill. They wouldn't be able to get it in if it's leaning, okay? Same with this here. See how we've got a big gap? Or should I put it on a hell of a lot more straight? So you just tap it the one side, and that will gradually go over so you plumb. You've built at this corner, you've gauged it, levelled it, made sure it's perfect. This top course is level. When you go over to this side to build at the corner, you're going to have to make sure you repeat the same process, the exact same way, and with the exact same gauge height. Otherwise, if you was 2mm out, by the time you get to this finished height, you're going to be 2mm out of level, and it's not going to work for you. Okay, so you've got to make sure every time you gauge a block, it's exactly the same as this side here, all the way to finished height. All right. Always perk joints first, always. So, perk joints. Right. And I'll just scrape them off afterwards. Doesn't look the best because some of the blocks have got chips and stuff out of them, but just got to try and joint it best you can. That should be your finished product. All right.